Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Delilah Spiritual Spot, the podcast. So it's been a long time. Technically, this would be season three. I may just say we're doing this whole damn thing again. So for my first podcast, I guess in over a year now, I'm going to start with some questions from my nieces. So I talked to them about starting my podcast over, and yeah, just having some fun with my family and maybe talking about myself a little bit more, doing like a catch up, and this is a great way to do it. I am still doing readings. Um, yeah, so still doing readings, not as often as I would like because work. I have also really started focusing on my health. And I took it seriously this time because the diabetes was present, and so I started my journey. I did take Ozempic, and I've lost a total of about 70-ish pounds currently. So my blood work is normalizing. I still have issues with like high blood pressure and stuff, but a vast improvement in my health, which is important to my family. I am almost 50 years old now, so I had to get serious because it started to affect uh, my autoimmune disease, and so I didn't want to live in pain and discomfort or shorten my life at all. So let's begin this podcast. So we're going to start with some clearing. So I'm just going to ring some of my chakra bells here just to clear my space. Nothing too loud. This is just for me to bring my best energy forward. Ooh, and that gives me a little something in my sacral chakra. So let's begin. So what have I been up to? So I've been up to my health. I've been up to work. I do work a regular job, and this is just a passion of mine. Um, I've had some family events, and I won't go into that too much. That will probably be another podcast and discussion, but some serious family events that have occurred. And yeah, life, right? Life for all of us has happened, and we're moving forward. I'm still trying to follow my dreams, and I hope you are too. So let's start with the first question here. So, from my daughter, what are some of your favorite memories growing up with your siblings? And to be honest with you, it's Christmas. It's cliche to a certain extent, but Christmas was always a time for me where, especially when my dad was still around, because that's the time I felt like his authentic self. Um, my father was on drugs, and so, and very abusive at times. But I remember Christmas being special in the fact that it was a time where it was just less. Not that it didn't occur, not that he wasn't violent, not that he wasn't, drinking or doing drugs. It's just like he turned the volume down on that for that special time. And I just remember laughing and joking, and he was a great musician. I didn't expect to get emotional about this. And he would play his instruments, and there would be music and lots of just dancing and laughter. And laughter for us and music for us was our escape. And so Christmas time for me was always that special. Also because you grow up and then you stop believing in Santa, and so we weren't overly religious in my family, but my mother explained Santa in a way for me that made it make sense for me, right? She's like, Santa is just a metaphor for what God brings to us, or if you want to use a different term, what the universe brings, or Mother Nature brings, or whatever whatever it means to you. It's the gift of life. It's the gift of love. And that's what we experienced during Christmas. That's the most important thing. And that always stuck with me. And so Christmas time, yeah, that's my jam. Uh, so the next question is from my niece Alexis, and she goes, "What were the ways you coped with trauma?" I have always been an escape artist. Not that I ran away, but for a long time, I was able to escape within myself and within my mind and within my creativity, you know, and that's how I would do it. I would just visualize these great escapes. A lot of time I was just escaping from my family and I totally left them and lived a whole new life anonymously away from them. That was a real wish at one point. But there was a time that I didn't escape. There was a time where things got really dark for me around my teenage years, and I tried not to be here anymore. It's something that I don't share with everyone. I just started sharing it with some family members. My daughter has known for a very long time. My niece Alexis has known for a very long time. But some of my siblings don't even know that I try to unalive myself. Um, but I'm still here, right? And I believe that I was here for a purpose. And I am still figuring out that purpose and I'm still living that purpose right now, right? My purpose is to help people. My purpose is to um, give some of my knowledge onto all of you, let you know that there is success, and success is a loaded word because a lot of people think, oh, that means you're rich. I am not rich. Um, but my success is in my survival. My success is in my family. And that's what matters to me. So the short answer is I was able to escape into my own mind and just dream of bigger and better things. That was my outlet because I was an introvert, so I didn't go outside a lot. Some people may take up sports. Some people, you know, may take trips, like actual trips around the world if you can afford it. There's many things. If you do artwork, if you do dance, movement, um, there's many different ways to escape, and you have to find your own coping mechanism that is not detrimental to yourself and your body and your health. So that's how I coped at the time. So my niece Desiree asks, how do you connect with nature living in New York City? Um, so for me, I like to. I'm lucky enough to have a small balcony space. I go out on the balcony. I do lots of walking, like Central Park, because I work in Midtown Manhattan, and I do lots of walking, and I mean 3 to 5 miles of walking. In nature, in the park, several loops. Um, Sometimes I'll reach out and just put my hand on a tree and just sit there in the moment and feel the vibration off of that tree and just whatever I'm feeling, you know, give it back to the earth. But truthfully, my favorite thing is the bathtub. So simple. Like I may do Epsom salt or I may do some essential oils. And what I like to do is act like I'm floating. So before those flotation tanks became a thing, I was doing that in the tub from when I was young. This was also a part of how I escaped um, within myself. And I would put my ears so that the sound will be drowned out, and I would close my eyes and I would mimic floating. And I think what soothed me was like the motion of the water, right? So that movement was very soothing. It's like the water was holding me, was rocking me, um, and was giving me a sense of peace. So that's how I choose to ground with nature. For me, is through water, and it's just the act of pretending like I'm floating. Um, in my little old bathtub here. Um, there is also, and I want to backtrack to that question about escapism because I want to give a better answer or a little bit more detailed. For me, when I was high anxiety and I would use my imagination to go away, a lot of times I would visualize for me being in a forest and hearing the sound of moving water, hearing the sound of a waterfall. And I would literally, in my dream, I would sit there and I would just visualize how the earth smelled, how the water mist felt on my skin, um, and just connecting with the sounds of the birds and the sound of the wind and the movement of the trees. It's a form of meditation. I didn't have words for it as a child. Again, I'm 50 years old. I didn't, from New York City, from Harlem. We don't know anything about meditation back then, or I wasn't exposed to anything like that. But that's what I was doing. And so even when my daughter um, used to have anxiety, I would tell her, I was like, Prin, what's your happy place? Let's let's figure out what your happy place is. Hers is a field of sunflowers. That's her favorite flower, and we would visualize that, and I would walk her through it like a guided meditation. Can you see the flowers? Can you smell them? What does it look like? How does it feel? And I would ask her all these questions. That was a way of connecting with nature, uh, also in this concrete jungle. And I think I have one more question because my other niece, Kira, did not ask me a question, but um, I'm not going to beat her up for it. So Jasmine, and she's asking this question on behalf of her husband. Um, I think she's asking how I developed my abilities or how I connect with my abilities here. Sorry, my glasses are not doing what they need to do right now. Um, and again, it's through that meditation. Like for me, I've always known about my abilities. I think culturally, growing up, being Puerto Rican, uh, we connect with our spirituality very easily. It's always discussed. It's a thing that, for me, in my family at least, it was something that was recognized and promoted. Um, but I really didn't start getting into my readings until much later in life, where I felt comfortable within myself to connect because people don't talk about that either. You may have these abilities, but you may not be ready to connect with it. You may not be ready to practice it. And so for me, when I was ready to practice it and when I was ready to um, help people, because that's a big responsibility also, uh, for me, it's through meditation, right? It's through crystals. I have crystals everywhere, specific crystals as well, depending on what I want to accomplish. So if for those of you who are looking at my YouTube, I'm actually holding a phoenix stone. I have rose quartz. I have hanksite. I have blue aragonite. These are all crystals to help me connect with my spirit guides and to connect with my higher self. Crystals have specific metaphysical properties that you can use to tap into your energy. So for me, it's quieting the mind. And I cannot tell you how many free YouTube videos you can watch, guided meditations on teaching you how to tap into your energy. Also, is trusting what you're being told, what you're being given by spirit. Another way I practice my intuition is if I'm on the bus, uh, I try to listen to what spirit is giving me about people. Now, these are things you cannot verify, but it's a great practice mechanism for beginners to see if you can receive things, right? And what I like to tell people is there's an energy in space in your mind's space where it's spirit and then it's ego. And it's in that in between space that you find your messages, or that I find my messages. So if I'm giving a reading, right? For me, I like to look to my left. I have a decent view here, and I just look out at the sky and the terrain in the background, and I listen to that first thought. The first thought that pops in my mind, it's normally a word, a phrase. It could be if they want to give me a visual of something that happened to someone, right? I normally get that flash, right? And then I focus my reading based on that one word, that one visual. That's how I give my readings, right? Before I even think about it, it's kind of like channeling. Uh, that's how I do my readings. That's how I am gifted, right? And then a lot of times you'll see me tilt my head. For me, I'm listening, right? Uh, and listening in a way that's not like vocal. I don't hear voices. But when I tilt, I for me is a signal to my guides that I'm ready to receive, right? So I'll give my reading and then I'll tilt, and then my guides will give me a word, give me a vision. If spirit comes in, that's when spirit enters and I'm able to commune. And I don't call myself a medium. I do have gifts um, that I don't feel I'm ready to explore yet, maybe later in life. But when the spirit is strong and I don't have a choice, that's when I will do mediumship, right? That's my choice. But really quieting the mind is how you connect. Get yourself a crystal you connect with also. There's thousands of crystals, there's thousands of rocks and minerals. You're not going to connect with everyone. Trust me, I tried and I tried to purchase them all. There are some that when you hold it, you just know that it's giving you something. Like you can feel the energy within you. And then it's up to you to use that when you're trying to connect. Uh, Again, it's something so personal that I can tell you how I connect, you know, but you have to find your own energy, right? For me, also, material wise, copper is not expensive. Uh, Copper for me is it also makes it's like an antenna goes up when I'm holding a piece of copper. So I like to wear copper jewelry, um, or I actually have like a huge piece of copper. It's in the other room right now. I'm not gonna get up and interrupt because I don't edit and I don't know how to edit. So we're not gonna interrupt this podcast. Um, but really, go into your quiet space, right? Listen to what you're receiving. Write it down immediately, also. So if you want to practice, right, when you meet someone or you know someone, if you receive something, put it down in your phone, put it down as a note. In casual conversation, you can bring up certain things like, oh, how are you feeling? Or, how's if you're receiving a message about their dad, be like, oh, how's your dad doing? Right? It doesn't have to be so direct like you're reading people, but you're able to practice it in a way that is not so obvious, but satisfies your need to help. Because real psychics and readers, we're designed to be here in service to people. And there's a way you can do it that is not pushy and you're not selling something and you satisfy that need of wanting to help and wanting to fulfill your life's purpose. Um, I'll also do maybe another podcast where I suggest certain books that I like to read. But yeah, so that's it. And we're not going to let this table go by, right? My reading table, which my niece Alexis created for me, um, and not give a reading. So I'm going to give a generalized reading for anyone who's listening. And let's see where Spirit takes us. Now, the deck I'm using is a standardized Major Arcana deck mixed with a deck I created. I don't even sell this deck because it's special to me. I may sell it, I may not. I'll think about it. So let's give this reading out. Talking about intuition, we have intuition here. We also have the devil. So the devil is not, in tarot cards, it's not the actual devil. You are your own devil. You are your worst enemy when it comes to your intuition and your instincts. You will talk yourself out of things. You will tell yourself you're not good enough. You will tell yourself you're not worthy enough. You will tell yourself, oh, we're cursed. You will make up any excuse in the book not to listen to that instinct. Instinct for me is given by God because I happen to believe in God. Um, and we also have the Fool card here, as I said that. So the Fool card is about having faith in yourself, having faith in your own abilities. Now, having faith in yourself and having abilities doesn't mean that you won't fail, because I can guarantee you will fail. I actually don't believe in the word failure, right? I believe in lessons. And you're here to learn a lesson. And until you master that lesson, you will have to try again, try again, try again, and try again until you persevere past it. That's what it is. It is not a failure. It is a lesson in life you must learn. Can it be harsh? 100%. Lessons can be so harsh, it can knock you on your butt. You can start drinking, the devil. You can start overeating, the devil. You can start just not paying attention to your children, husbands, jobs, the devil, right? It's you. It's what you choose to put your energy into. So make sure you keep that devil in check, which ultimately is is yourself. Um, let's give a few more cards here because I love this. I love giving readings. So let's give some oracle cards. And as I'm drawing cards, it feels like it gets stuck in my hand. That's how I choose. If it falls out, I will read those also. Repairing the body, mind, and spirit, card number 39. And I love this because, again, me talks, what I was just talking about. It starts within you. What do you want to do? Can you persevere past your failures, which are lessons? Can you persevere past your lessons? Even if you have to repeat the same lesson over and over and over and over again. Even if it's an ancestral lesson that you look back and you see repetitions within your family. Because, as I tell other parents, children do as you do, not as you say. So that's how we fall into the trap of repetition, because you didn't change your behavior, how you expect your children to. They're going to do as you do. So again, it starts from within. And I'm going to end this on a positive note. Again, there's not going to be any edits because I don't know what I'm doing, and I still don't after all these years. Um, but welcome to Delilah's Spiritual Spot. And I hope to see you maybe about bi weekly. I'll drop a new podcast and video. Thank you.